Previously on input left. I love this. I'm also just imagining like a new viewer hopping on and being like, why the like
What the hell is
explaining
happening?
elected officials? I was
Like,
like, oh, come on.
There's so much lore you need to get caught up on here. Yeah.
Hello, this is Joe and Will here with Input Left. We're back. We're actually starting our third recording session of videos, which is very exciting. If you're following along, you've probably noticed a jump in quality from the second set of four, from the first set of four, and hopefully, we're gonna take it even to the next level here. We're back on our Pokemon adventure, Pokemon Diamond. As Will knows, the best Pokemon game there has ever been. And we're continuing off a cliffhanger here where we're about to find out what item is in that spherical object.
That's right. But first, we have to get through presumably the aroma lady here. Who knows what she'll have? Probably not grass types, but maybe. Oh wow, she actually has a pretty appropriate grass type.
You've already been psyched out. So how's it been, Will? It's been a nice, actually. It's been a tough week since our last recording session.
Yeah, you could say that again. But I think, all things considered, we're moving on. We're moving on up. Do you want to talk about, actually, I guess, since you brought it up, some of the events from this past week that are, fairly topical and pertinent to our usual discussions?
Yeah. Well, among everything that's happened this week, which is going to set this video, particularly in a moment in history, is a shooting in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, so some Atlanta area suburbs, I believe. Actually at 3 different locations, as my understanding, of 8 people who were killed by, it appears to be an anti-Asian hate crime from disgruntled white supremacists. And it puts us in a particular moment of time because we've been talking about violence, especially in the light of the George Floyd killing past year, and now here we go with the Asian community being affected. And this was actually something I did want to address in the video, as just to meet ourselves in this moment. And one pertinent conversation that I thought I wanted to get into on the show was just going a little more into the model minority myth and how the Asian community has been particularly affected this past year with COVID. But also we're playing a baby game, so
yeah, a baby game made by people from Asia. So there's some very tenuous connection.
There is a I guess that counts as relevant. Yeah, so
yeah, barely. As
we're just in this kind of elongated nonsense part of this game, where we're right, like as my understanding of this next gap between,
we have to go save the honey from Team Galactic.
Right,
it's coming up.
Well, if you watch the B movie, you would know that if we lose the honey, everything is going to go into an apocalypse.
The world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of national conversation right now has been on this model minority myth. And well, if you're watching decent to good coverage of the events that have passed, but just a reminder, to folks watching, I'm a Latino community organizer is kind of my background, and oftentimes within all communities, I think this idea comes up of Asian folks aren't struggling through the same battle that Black Lives Matter and the push for Latino equality as well have been facing. And it's just not true. It's just that it looks very different in the Asian community, and in any kind of subsection of a group of people, there's class, there's education barriers, there's differences in the experience, and so often we get focused on the fact that there is, a segment of the Asian population that is just as appears to be just as successful in America as the white majority. But the reality of it is it's just not the face of so much of the community and the experience that so much of them are facing.
I think that this is a really valuable context to explore in the wake of these really tragic events. And as you mentioned, increased hate crimes and discrimination that Asian Americans and really Asian people around the world and people of Asian descent around the world have been facing as a result of misinformation and lies spread during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think just touching on the model minority myth a little closer, something that's really common in America is, like you said, this belief that Asian Americans are sometimes even like more successful than white Americans, that they are like honorary whites in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that sort of like crazy rich Asian sort of aesthetic really only belongs, like you said, to a very small subsection of the community.
Right.
And in particular, it's a subsection of the community that was wealthy when their ancestors immigrated to the United States in the first place.
It's very similar to how the Cuban community has evolved in the United States. And
yeah, that's actually a great, I think, connection to make.
Yeah, and a lot of people think, oh, well, why are Cubans conservative, or why are Cubans so much wealthier than all the other Latino groups? And obviously that's a generalization as well, but the reason is primarily that when the folks that came over here were folks in the kind of elite classes that were escaping a dictatorship that wanted to redistribute wealth, right? And while we're fans of redistribution on this show, we are not fans of dictatorship. Anyway, and that's very similar to what a lot of Asian communities have faced here, except there's also huge groups and huge communities. Here where I live, we have a huge Hmong population, and they are refugees that came here, and they are currently occupying lower working classes and facing increased violence and less access to everything, like other minority groups, right? Like other, or I like to say sometimes global majority groups, but other
especially when you're talking about like Asians, as in, like everywhere from Japan to like
if you're including India here,
like,
right? You
Iraq or something, like multiple, yeah,
like maybe half the world.
Oh yeah, if you throw in like Indonesia as well, I don't think you probably should, but like if you really expand, and Russia, right? If you expand Asians to be its like largest possible size,
then global majority is just the Asians.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, but for real, like it wasn't a mistake that the 6 of the people shot were, I believe, Asian women who were spa workers.
No, I don't think it was either.
And that's exactly the people who occupy the same class as the Black Americans who are shot, the undocumented Latino Americans who face violence by police and by their communities, and as well as documented folks. So it's the same struggle, right? And
yeah, I
think there's value at some higher level. There's always value in talking about class disparities, but the class disparity is not Asian people are rich. It's there's disparities within every community, and we have to acknowledge those and actually use that knowledge to fight for policy that is supporting those who are most on the margins. But that's my big nod to this week, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's also really worth noting that, we addressed this a little bit earlier, but there have been, like, basically since the beginning of the pandemic, there have been many studies that have clearly documented and proven that Asians across the world, certainly in America, certainly in the UK, but I know in other parts of the world as well, are facing a lot of a huge spike in hate crimes. And no doubt as a direct result of the pandemic and the kinds of rhetoric that has emerged. Also worth noting that I think hate crimes against Jewish people, I think at least in the United States, have also been at an all-time high, is my understanding, in 2020, at least since the data started being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, yeah, it's something, it's the kind of conversation that's difficult to have, but it's certainly worth having, because if we aren't careful, we can let a lot of, I think, straight up atrocities just slide.
Really quick nod to what's happening on the game. I love Floroma Town. Spent a lot of time there.
It's a very pleasant
the little area just north of it with all the flowers, if I'm remembering this correctly. It's very, very lovely. But yes, exactly. And with regards to the COVID-19 increased discrimination, I find it ironic that the folks that are employing this discrimination and racism, there's a lot of overlap with not even believing the virus exists or is, and then also thinking that like Asian people are the cause of the virus. It's a mix of ironies, and it's a very dangerous mix of ironies, right?
For sure.
And luckily, I don't know, luckily we're almost through this virus, but it's a shame that there hasn't been enough conversation confronting, besides like, oh, Donald Trump shouldn't say China virus. Yeah, but what else is there to this, right?
Mm-hmm. Like the idea that it was originally the State Department that came up with the narrative, basically, that the coronavirus might have emerged from a lab in China, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was something that the official institutions of the United States government first hit upon. And I think it's definitely worth considering how it's not just, though Donald Trump is in some ways uniquely bad, I think it's kind of fair to say that he is certainly not the primogenitor of like all racism in this country, or everything bad that has happened in the last 4 years and continues to happen today.
Yeah, and no matter how, I mean, we could go so deep into how the government response has been to this virus, particularly with regards to addressing the discrimination or bias against Asian communities. But in particular, I was reading Ibram X. Kendi, whose name I couldn't remember, on an earlier episode.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioned.
And so, and I had seen him actually. I had seen him live, and he had a book signing and everything, and it was so great. And but I remember the name, and then I also would have bought the book instead of just listening to him talk about the book. And I actually started reading it today, and he, in just very early on, one of his quotes is, "We are not the representatives of our no person is a representative of basically a racial group or an ethnic group." And it kind of, the connection I want to make here is that there has been basically a lopping together of Chinese government, Chinese people, Asian people, Asian Americans, which is obviously extremely wrong, but then is having...
I forgot we didn't even talk about this. Oh, yeah. I just want to interrupt you to say that, like, this is something that I think you and I probably consider like very obvious, so we haven't even brought it up. But yes, like obviously, like a lot of it stems from China in the sense that like that's where a lot of the sort of pundits and politicians have been pointing. But that just sort of gets distilled, or not distilled rather, but like conglomerated into literally anybody who looks Asian.
Right.
And who looks Asian is also kind of, yeah.
No, yeah. It's funny, like who is considered Asian too is, it's, oh my god, yeah. This could go so far, right? But you're right, and it's the folks who were shot were Korean, but that has nothing. Many, at least several of them I know, were Korean, and so the irony, right, of like it's really being upset at like a theory about what the Chinese government did translating to Asian American Koreans being the victims of a hate crime potentially, right? If in the most.
Yeah.
Oh, do we get this encounter?
Yep.
Hey, our boy Riolu.
Pretty strong one, yeah.
I think we talked about how this is the furry generation, and
A little bit, yeah.
Lucario is going to be our top performer.
If you got Lopunny and Lucario in the same generation, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, this is exciting. I hope we get him. I hope you don't kill him.
Yeah.
We need that false swipe.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything we could hit it with to weaken it, probably. Like, I'd even be worried about using, like, Bind or Wrap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those could very easily kill it. So, I think I might just go for Pokeballs at this point. We have, like, 28 or so.
I think that's probably the right move.
Yeah.
Well, we'll cap up that conversation and yeah, just to solidarity with the Asian communities and anyone who's watching this that feels emotionally impacted by what has happened.
There's obviously a lot more that could be said on this topic.
Yeah.
You know, we've just given a very surface overview. And I imagine it's a topic we'll probably return to
right
over the course of this channel, if nothing else. Much like a lot of, I think, the other conversations we've had.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we both just felt it was important to say something about it, since it's a pretty open, fresh wound, basically, given recent events.
Mm-hmm.
That was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, you got him just Pokeball. Wait, was that the first one?
That was the second one.
Okay. Easy. Oh man, this I love Riolu Lucario, despite like the
male Lucario, yeah.
Despite the furry
Ooh.
aspect.
Who are we gonna name this after? So this is like a sort of powerful Pokemon with a strong aura that can also sort of like read the hearts and minds of other people, you know?
Which is why he's Evomax Candy.
Yeah, is that what we're going with? I have a list here. I put down a list of potential names.
Please.
It's not exhaustive.
Which one of those?
I'm just gonna scan through it and see if anybody jumps off to me as like a male Lucario. Yeah.
This could be the Jamaal Bowman.
Yeah, I was thinking that like I kind of wanted to pick like a champion of the working people, and I'm sure that the author you've been talking about is
a chap.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows who he is except for you. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know if that's true. I think you haven't been up to date with your Twitter feed, but
it could. Yeah, that could definitely.
Now that we've talked about him twice, though, I feel like
you might have to make it.
Jamaal is the elected, though. Jamaal is the elected official that we're. Evomax Candy is the author.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But we can go with Jamaal.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was gonna go with Jamaal.
No, that's good.
If you feel very strongly, then we should go with Evomax.
Do it. Bring him out. Take him out here.
Should we call him Jamaal or should we call him Bowman?
No, Jamaal is good. I think.
Can't do both. Okay.
I hope the spelling is.
Yeah, I agree.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll look it up just to be sure. I think it is, but I'm gonna look it up in case it isn't. That would be.
We can't have him being the one person with the spelling mistake.
It is correct. It is correct.
Great.
I just wanted to be sure.
A real progressive powerhouse using his aura to defeat all rivals.
A real blue dog Democrat, hence the fact that he's a blue dog. That's not true.
That's very not true, but now you made me think, shouldn't we have gone with a blue dog?
Yeah, I guess it is technically a blue dog.
He is literally a blue dog. But
yeah.
That's okay, we'll make it work.
If we get a shiny Houndour, then we can have a real blue dog Democrat as well.
If we manage to make that happen on our Diamond Nuzlocke, then wow.
Yeah, that's shiny Rockruff is also blue, but obviously not obtainable in this game. Just take
obviously.
Somewhat vain, happily eats anything. Steadfast. I don't know what its other abilities are. Maybe inner focus or something. That would probably be better. All right. I don't think I want to replace anything with it, even though, like, you know, we could
leave them in there.
Yeah, we could start getting like happiness on it to get Lucario pretty soon, and Lucario is very strong. Maybe there's an argument for like getting rid of one of our water types for him, but then we have 2 fighting types.
Leave it as
I
it
don't
is.
know. I think yeah, I think I'll leave it for now.
The only person I'm
but,
tempted to bring in is Kasich.
Really? Okay, well, I started thinking from a more strategic perspective, but all right.
Yeah, so are we gonna be doing berry farming in this one?
I mean, maybe I might plant some berries, I guess. I also, I don't know. I might just like hack in some extra berries rather than like actually spending time farming them, you know, just for the sake of it.
Is this an encounter here we get?
This is also an encounter.
Okay,
yes.
great. This is exciting. 2 in 1 episode. Wow.
We have a lot of bad water types.
Bad fish specifically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of fun nicknames we could give this female Lovedis.
Don't Lovedis always carry a heart scale?
A heart scale? I don't think they always do. I think it's like 50% of the time.
Okay. But chance we can get a heart scale.
Yeah, so that's something. It is something. It's also worth noting that if we ever get a Pokemon with Thief, we can come back to this area and potentially grind heart scales.
Oh, yeah. Well, luckily we have video documentation of where this area is. So I have to think, you know, of who this is. Floating heart. Very, at least outwardly affectionate.
Yeah, someone who charms the people, but, you know, I think is pretty weak and ineffectual.
Okay.
Unless you want to go with just like like a cute little person.
No,
they don't have to be like bad.
I like the idea that they're charming but ineffective, and
okay.
To be honest, the charming part is the part I'm having the trouble with. Maybe that's because of personal bias, you know. Like I was thinking, like this could be a great HRC, but not charming me.
True. I really want to save HRC for like a Magneton or something.
Porygon.
I'm looking at my list here, and I'm thinking.
Well, please keep checking Pokeballs while you're doing that.
Sorry, yeah. I'm thinking maybe this is maybe a Jill Stein.
Oh, that is perfect. She looks exactly like Jill Stein. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was also thinking maybe Amy Klobuchar, but I don't think her charming really works as well as she thinks it does.
You know, I really want to make it Amy Klobuchar a very special choice. I don't know who yet, but
okay.
But I'm just imagining Jill Stein with a Love Disc head, and I'm also probably editing that in. And that is a very exciting prospect, I think.
The other candidate for me would be Lisa Murkowski to join Fish Collins, but
there will be other fish.
There probably will be. So let's go with Jill Stein then.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right. Jill Stein, for those of you who are very young and didn't pay attention to politics at all in 2016.
Or just don't have the level of niche knowledge that we have.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. Jill Stein was the Green Party presidential candidate in 2016, who, you know, there's a lot of discourse about whether or not people who voted for Jill Stein or even Gary Johnson were responsible for Trump's victory, because I think the third party candidates received more votes in that election than they usually do. But at the end of the day, like, I think the only person to blame for Trump's election is, well, I guess not the only person, but there's sort of two things. There's the Democrats and the Republicans, I guess. You know, the Democrats for nominating Hillary Clinton, and then Hillary Clinton herself, because she was a terrible candidate. And then the Republicans for nominating Trump in the first place. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that issue.
You know, as I reflect on it as well, I've been thinking a lot about how obviously she's not my ideal candidate by any stretch of the imagination. But in particular, her campaign was so bad, and you know, her message was, "Look, it's Donald Trump. Vote for me," which Granted, that should have worked with anyone. I'm not gonna deny that.
Yeah.
But you just kind of misjudged America and also the Electoral College. So
I think that's fair.
we're about 25 minutes in, and we're taking out this Shelgon. What do you think about after this fight? Calling it here for this episode?
Yeah, I think I'll just go check to see if we've got a heart scale or not.
Oh,
Jill
please,
Stein,
yeah.
and then we can do it. I was a little worried about this thing having Dragon Rage, by the way, but Celio, of course, has more than 40 health, so I think we're gonna be totally fine.
I mean, you're at 40 right? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I knew I outsped, so.
I really like Shelgon. I think Shelgon's a very fascinating boulder creature.
Yeah, it's like a dragon cocoon. It's kind of interesting. It would make sense because Bagon, is almost like a I guess like a worm or caterpillar in some sense that it starts out, it has like tiny little arms, it can't fly, it goes into like a little cocoon thing and then it's able to fly,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
All
it's
right.
the mega evolution though is that's the real one.
Oh yeah, that's when it becomes like an F something bomber, whatever.
No item.
No item.
Just
but look. Oh, you know what I forgot is I actually randomized wild Pokemon held items.
Oh, okay.
So this is not any more likely than anything else to have a heart scale. But we did get a TM.
Hey, what's TM14? Let's see. Give me the false swipe.
Is false swipe a TM in this game?
It is.
Ooh.
Okay. Okie dokie. You want to give
Maybe for Sotomayor. I don't want to use it yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to wait until we get Hail, because then we can set up Hail with Sotomayor. We have Ice Body, so it's passive healing, and then we have guaranteed hit Blizzards to fire off as well. That seems like really strong synergy.
I'd also want to check
All right.
if she gets it by level up.
That's true. Yeah, eventually, we will get it by level up, so maybe it's not as valuable, but
yeah. See y'all next time. Hope you enjoyed.
Mhm.
Please subscribe to build this community that plays games while talking about things that actually matter. plays baby games while talking about things that matter.
baby games, adult topics. I think baby games, adult names even is maybe the the tagline.
That's our new channel motto. Baby games channel. Wait, what's that? Baby games channel. Input left. Subscribe.
Oh,
See you next time.
It's over. We're done.
Bye.
We're done. See ya.